Welcome back, Strongman fans, and we now finally have our world's strongest man for 2021. A massive congratulations to Scottish, the Albertross, Tom Stoltman. I'm going to talk about Tom at the end of the video, just giving a little shout out here at the beginning before I go over the final events from the last 2 days of the competition. But I just want to give him a quick shout out. Well done, mate, and I can't wait to discuss about you at the end of the video. After the elimination from the final qualifying days where Novikov unfortunately was disqualified, well, not disqualified, but he didn't get through based on the fact that he failed at the pickaxe hold. Obviously, that was the culmination of the qualifying stages, and as a result, he wasn't able to go through. So a real disappointment and shame there, and obviously that blows out my predictions of him being in the top 3 at least. So commiserations to Novikov, but we know you'll come back stronger and you will be back to get vengeance. So the first day for the finals, we had the Giants Medley, the Titans Turntable, also the Keg Toss for Max, which is obviously Brian Shaw's one of his best events, which he holds a current world record. So the people who are in the finals, obviously we've got the big man himself, Mr. Tom Stoltman. He was in there, obviously. Then we had his brother, Luke Stoltman, obviously another Scotsman. So second time these two have been in the finals together, so it's great to see. And obviously 2 Brits, so I was happy about that. Then you've got Adam Bishop, another fellow British man. He made it through to the finals, and deservedly so. Then we had obviously Mr. Brian Shaw, 4 times world's strongest man, and he was looking sensational this year. You know, he smashed it. Then we had obviously the Nightmare, Bobby Thompson, the American Nightmare. Obviously his first qualifying for the finals. It was his second appearance in World's Strongest Man this year. Then Trey Mitchell, aka Berserker Lifter. He's his second appearance and first time in the finals as well, so well done to him. JF Caron, last year's 3rd place winner at World's Strongest Man, the Canadian, obviously won the veterans. Older chap, but nonetheless an incredible contender. Then you had Maxime, I can't pronounce his surname, so I'm not going to try. The Canadian, fellow Canadian to JF, and he did really well to get his first finals here as well. Then E4 Ingolson, so from Iceland, one of 4's training partners and friends, his first finals as well. And then lastly, Konstantin Janasha from Georgia. He obviously made his comeback this year after nursing an injury, so we've not seen him for quite some time. So the actual events themselves, Tom finished first on the Giants Medley, with Konstantin second and Brian third. So the event itself consisted of a super yoke, which was 440 kilos or 970 pounds, and that had to be lifted for a 10-meter distance, and that was followed by a frame carry of 350 kilos or 772 pounds for 15 meters. So pretty grueling, but it wasn't as hot, by the way. This took place at 8 a.m. It wasn't as hot as some of the previous days, so the guys had it a little bit easier. Obviously not super easy, but it was still a little bit cooler for them, so I think that's a good idea. But that early in the morning, you know, that's pretty heavy, pretty early to be lifting that heavy, so fair play to them. Obviously some good central nerve systems to be able to take that. I've done my best in this video to give you as much footage and images as possible, because I personally think looking at spreadsheets and score charts, just that, someone talking over it's a bit boring. So hopefully you guys prefer this this editing that I've done for you, and I've got as much I can, like I said in the last video, as much that's fair use. So hopefully the guys at World's Strongest Man will also appreciate the work I've done for them to promote the athletes and the sport, because as you know, I love this sport just like all you do, my loyal subscribers and Strongman fans. And Tom's time was a time of 18.36, so a great start to the first event to take the top points for that. Konstantin had 20.31, followed by Brian at 20.53, but it's worth noting that Luke was only behind Brian by, well, he got 20.72 seconds, so not far at all, 19 seconds, so not far behind him at all, so well done obviously to Luke to get the 4th spot there. So the pairings consisted of Adam Bishop and Trey Mitchell, then we had Bobby Thompson and Maxime, then we had E4 against Konstantin, Luke was against Tom, you know, brothers against one another, and then lastly JF against Brian Shaw. Just one thing to note as well before we move on to the second event, Brian was the only one to use a tape measure to ensure the yoke was in the correct height, and I think that just goes to show about his professionalism and also his experience, you know, having won 4 competitions, and this year he really wanted to win his 5th title, because there was a lot of hype about him last year, and he you know, he massively underperformed from what people's expectations was. and this year he was definitely a different breed, and I could see very early on that he meant serious business. He had a very similar mindset and approach to things like Tom. You know, they definitely were in the zone and not focusing on each other or anyone else performance wise. They just wanted to make sure that they didn't let any negative thought get in their head if they were placing as well or losing points, and just crack on with what was needed to be done. So after the first event, these are the points standing. So Tom was at the top at 10, followed by Constantine at 9, and also Brian in third with a score of 8, with Luke nipping at Brian's heels at just 1 point behind. Going to the second event, we had obviously the Titans turntable with Tom, Trey and E4 all taking the first, second and third spots. For the second event, all 10 athletes were tasked with rotating the 30-ton train around a gigantic wooden turntable. This train was built in 1875, so it's well over 100 years old, and by a person called J.W. Bowker, I believe. And the score was the time it took to turn the table a complete 30 meters. So that's how that's the time they had to base it on, and there was a cap, by the way, of 75 seconds. And just to add, the temperature was well over 95 degrees again, so pretty tough on these chaps. So the all strongmen assumed a prouder position, and then they placed their upper chest after that against the horizontal bar to then push the train itself. Tom took the first place again, as I mentioned, obviously second event for the day that he's won, with a time of 46.89 seconds. Trey got 52.34 and E4 got a score of 52.83. So as a result of Tom winning his second event in a row, he actually tied with Mariusz Pudzianowski, who actually won the title 5 times himself, the world's strongest man. So with a 7-point lead heading into the Keg Toss, the third event. Pudzianowski achieved this feat twice. That was in 2003 and 2006. So well done, Tom, tying with a great there. And also what a great position mentally he was in at this point, going to the third event, being that far ahead of all the other athletes. You know, absolutely incredible start. And he was showing no signs of slowing down whatsoever, and this is where I was definitely myself, and I'm sure the fans as well, were getting very confident that Tom was onto a winner. You know, I already predicted he was going to be in the top 3, and I was hoping he'd win it, to be honest. But I did say I reckon if he didn't win it, he would get the second spot at least. There was no way he was not going to be on the podium. And with scorings like this already from the offset, you know, leading so far ahead, even against, you know, the likes of Brian Shaw, 4 times world's strongest man, and also against JF Caron, who's been a podium finisher multiple times, third last year, and then also against his older brother Luke. You know, he was just showing and asserting his dominance against great athletes, all far more senior than him. So well done, Tom, absolute unit. So after the second event, here are the score standings, as you can see. So Luke was actually 7 points behind Tom at this point, with Brian also at 7 points behind. So Tom leading at 20 there. Going into the third event, the Keg Toss, Brian Shaw actually won this with a world record, new record. Maxime came second and Tom came third. So both Tom and Brian have both said before this event that they were going to set a new world record, and everyone was pretty confident that it would be Brian here. And here's the footage of him actually achieving that new world record. So his original one was set at a height of 7.25 meters in 2016, in the world strongest man qualifying stages. At the same event in 2018, Hathor scored a 7.15 meter keg toss. So in this one, the actual keg itself weighed 15 kilos or 33 pounds, and they had to throw obviously over the bar. There was 5 rounds starting at 6 meters, 6.75, 7.26, 7.5, and then finally at 7.75. And it was that height that Brian Shaw got the new world record, set at 7.75. So congratulations to Brian, and he obviously earned some valuable points from that heat, which he definitely needed, because obviously he was not trading massively behind Tom, but he definitely needed to make up some points, and that was a successful first event win for him. So well done, Brian. Great to see you win an event, and also to actually set a new world record in the process. I just want to point out as well, separate to obviously the record tied with Mariusz Pudzianowski for Tom with the lead of 7 points. It was actually Magnus Magnusson who holds the record for the largest lead ever by a winner, when he won his first title in 1991 by 7.5 points. So what a major margin. He didn't just win, but he absolutely annihilated the competition. And as we know, Magnus is a legend and one of the GOATs for the sport. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out in case any of you didn't know that. One other thing to note is that only 4 athletes, that the 3 that I've mentioned, also Konstantin Janasha, managed to get over 7 meters. All the other athletes didn't succeed on the other rounds with trying to go over 7 meters, so they only managed to get the 6.75, and that was it. So obviously there was a little bit of hiccups here and there where some of the kegs were tapping the barrier at the top. Some were allowed, some were dismissed, but like I said, it was the top 4. Only 4 athletes that actually managed to do it: Tom, Brian, Constantine, Canadian Maxime, who, as we know, or you may not know, you'll find out later in the video, he actually came 3rd in this. So obviously being the second Canadian in a row, second Canadian 2 years in a row, 2 comps to take the 3rd place spot, funny enough. So JF got 3rd last year and Maxime got 3rd this year. So interesting there, and obviously for Maxime, that's great for him to do so well in this event. That obviously was helping him to gain some good points, because up to this point he wasn't doing too well. So obviously that helped get in that 3rd place spot. So well done to Maxime. Also to Constantine as well, because he's not been competing for a long time, and he did well to get such good points to be in the top 4 spot there, because let's face it, Tom and Brian, because of the leverage they've got, the wingspan, the height and everything, they're already at a massive advantage because of how tall they are. So obviously there's technique to it, power and strength and other components of fitness, but when you've got, you're 6'8" already, that definitely helps. And obviously some of the other guys are quite a bit shorter. They're not under 6 foot, but they're certainly not in the 6'5" plus category. So that was good to see for the likes of Maxime in particular do so well. So respect to him there. And it was Maxime and Tom who actually managed to get to 7.5 meters. So Tom wasn't far off a world record, but it was obviously Brian's day, and Brian had it in his head that he wanted the 7.75 or more, and I reckon he could have got even more. Like, he made it look so easy. If you go back on the video and check it again, he could have easily done more. I mean, he didn't even use his legs. It's just all upper body. Crazy amount of power and accuracy and coordination. Very, very impressive. And I would like to see him go for over 8 meters, and I believe he can do that. And I'll be honest, from what I saw from Maxime and Tom, they've also got very good potential there as well to beat the world record. So we'll see. Time will tell. So they're the standings there at this point. As you can see, Tom is leading the pack, 28.5, Brian at 23, and Maxime at 18.5. So really good scores, and we're seeing clearly that Tom is in the running for the win already. But as we know, there's still 3 more events to go, and anything can change. Obviously, all events favour different people, and people like Eddie Hall have said before, on one competition, if the events are like this, one guy's going to win. If there's different events, another guy's going to win, and that's definitely true. So for the second day and the final day, we had the log lift for Max, the KNAACK deadlift, and also the Atlas stones for the decider. So always a staple there in Strongman. So in the log lift, Luke actually won with 215 kilos. Trey came second and Bobby third. And as we know, Luke Stoltman, he's a fantastic log presser. Just quickly here, Constantine got 185 kilos. So that was a nice good lift from him. And also Maxime got a Canadian record, successful lift of 452 pounds in the 4th round, setting a new Canadian log lift record. So well done, Maxime. Great to see you there in that, and obviously again gaining valuable points. And you can see he's definitely showing all the other guys that don't underestimate me. I'm here and I can definitely turn some heads and rattle a few cages, and he certainly did at this stage. So in round 1 we had 170 kilos or 365 pounds. Round 2, 185 kilos for 8 pounds. Round 3, 195 kilos or 430 pounds. Round 4 was 205 kilos or 452 pounds. And lastly, in round 5, 215 kilos or 474 pounds. And as we know, Luke was going to go for world record, try and beat Sejunas Savisca's Big C's world record at 228 kilos or 502.7 pounds. However, he decided to save some energy for the tank for the rest of the day, and he didn't want to go for it, but he still got respectable 215 kilos, the only athlete to do that on the day, and obviously that got him some valuable points by winning his first event. And let's face it, we all knew he was going to win that event. Bobby Thompson, however, he could have quite easily done better. He has got the American new log lift record, and he's a very good presser, but unfortunately he didn't do as well as Luke. But I think he was also a bit battered and a bit tired from the actual the day's events, so he wasn't able to do it, and actually he passed out. He staggered for a long time, and he paused and almost locked out, but unfortunately he passed out, and that actually happened a couple of times in the finals. He had some issues, and the medical team were having to deal with him a few times. He was nothing major, but I think the blood pressure, the heat, whatnot, and the fatigue was definitely getting to him, and unfortunately he was unable to continue after that, and didn't do very well overall. But nonetheless, to all the athletes, great lifts, great attempts, and what we saw. Trey managed to do 205. Bobby obviously got the 205, and so did Maxime. JF got 195, Constantine did as well, and so did Brian. 185 was E4 and Tom. Obviously, 170 kilos was Adam, only getting 1 point. And as we know, I've already mentioned about Luke getting the 215 kilos. So well done to you chaps. No one can lift these weights normally. So even the lowest score, which is obviously Adam, at 170 only, I don't know many people who can even lift 100 kilos, let alone 170 kilos. So that's how it went for that event. So well done, Luke, and well done to the other chaps who took the second and third spot. These are the placings through 4 events. So Tom was at 31, Brian starting to close the gap a bit, and Luke here you can see he's actually in 3rd place. So he's doing really well at this stage. Maxime in 4th, not too far behind. Going into the 5th event, we had the KNAACK deadlift, and Adam Bishop actually won this, with Jeff 2nd and Trey coming 3rd. Going into this event, as you saw, Brian and Tom are only 1 point behind one another, so very close indeed. So this was a head-to-head competition, and they had to do as many reps as they could with a 345 kilo barbell, or 760 pounds, in 1 minute. Each barbell was supported by the giant KNAACK toolboxes on each end. Obviously that was one of the sponsors for the competition, and temperatures were really hot again at 84 degrees. So all athletes got really respectable scores, to be honest, besides Maxime and Luke. Obviously, Luke's not known for being the best deadlifter, and he admits that. He doesn't really enjoy the event. And Maxime massively dropped from, the last event to this one to last. So Adam got 10, so did JF, 10. Trey got 10 as well. Trey's a really good deadlifter, as is JF. Brian got 9, so did Bobby. Tom got 8, so Tom's grip strength definitely improving, and his deadlift also, because that was another weakness of his at the last year's World's Strongest Man. Constantine got 8, respectable number, and E4 got 7. So those were the numbers there for those chaps, and I was really pleased to see Adam taking that 10, because he wasn't doing too well at this point, and overall he needed to get some points, because he wasn't chasing anyone really, and we all had better hopes for him, us English chaps. So I was still so impressed with him overall to get to the finals, and what he did in the actual the qualifying events and the finals. But I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't doing better in some of the other events. But in this one, at least, he definitely redeemed himself by getting those 10 points, and he absolutely smashed it. He looked so strong, as did some of the other athletes. So obviously this was good for the likes of JF as well, and Trey, because they weren't doing too well in other events. And as I mentioned, different events favour different people. So going through to the events, you can see here for the last one, Tom was at 35.5, Brian at 34.5, and Luke at 29, still in the 3rd place spot. So the final event, as we know, the decider, was the Stones, and Tom, as you now know, he won. He beat Brian in the head-to-head, and as we all know, we had a feeling it would be the case that this decider would go between the two, and it did, and we certainly were not disappointed. Obviously, Tom dominated this whole competition in the finals. He, not once did he leave the top spot on that leaderboard, but Brian was always nipping at his heels, and as I mentioned, it went to the stones. So for the stones, there were 5 stones in ascending weight, going up obviously from 310 pounds all the way up to 465 pounds. Each competitor had to race and load all 5 stones onto the pedestals in the fastest time possible. Mention as well that Luke and Trey were tied for 3rd place by being 5.5 points behind Shaw entering that event, and Maxime and Constantine were also tied 4th with 27.5 points, and JF was just 1/2 point behind them. So obviously there was a battle for the top spot between Tom and Shaw, but the 3rd place was still very much up for grabs. So that was an interesting one there. So E4 had to run the event himself on his own, because Bobby had to withdraw due to the issues that I mentioned, the log lift and deadlift. Then we had JF against Adam Bishop, Maxime was against Constantine, Luke was against Trey, and lastly, as we mentioned, Tom was against Brian. So Tom absolutely bolted out as he started. He literally power lifted the 2nd stone to take the lead, and he didn't hold back from then. He just blitzed it. The speed from him was unbelievable, and as we know, as his 2nd nickname, he's got 2, 1 the Albertross and 2 the King of the Stones. He proved that he is the King of Stones, and he got all 5 stones in a time of 20.21 seconds. So crazy speed, but we were all expecting great things from him. He said a little issue with his hammy or hip, but so it looks a little bit off, but still he had no issues. He kept going, didn't get injured, and absolutely dominated it. Maxime managed all 5 stones with a time of 28.63. Brian obviously got all 5 at 31.45. Trey got all 5 at 37.26. Jeff got all 5 at 37.17. Constantine got 4. Bishop got 4. Luke got 4. E4 got 4. And as I mentioned, Bobby had to withdraw, so that was a shame not to see him do it, because he's actually a very good stone lifter in my opinion. He's not bad at all. So 9 athletes in that final, but as you can see here, here's the footage. Thanks to the fans that filmed this part for us. It's very clear footage actually, and you can just see how quick Tom is with those stones. Brian's still pretty fast. Remember, Brian's 39, so he's a lot older than Tom. Tom's got that vigor and energy to him with that youth. So, but well done, Tom. And you can see here his brother Luke, like absolute legends, strongest brothers in the world and in history. And Tom is so deserving of this win. I was so happy for him, and I think thousands of people around the world are genuinely happy for him, because he's such a nice, humble young guy, and he's very open about having autism and the issues he's had in life and whatnot, and how Strongman has helped him focus and have something to look forward to in life. Here are the final standings, as you can see here. So Tom 45.5, Brian 42.5, Maxime 36.5. So Brian and Tom were much further ahead, to be fair, but well done to Maxime for getting that 3rd place finish. Unfortunately, Luke didn't get that 3rd place, even though he was 3rd for pretty much most of the finals, and I do believe he should have got that 3rd place spot. No disrespect to Maxime, I want it to be Tom, Brian, Luke, after obviously Novikov had to, he didn't go through to the finals, and Matthias Kilisowski also not being there, and Martin Lissis still not competing. Hopefully he's going back next year, as well as Matthias Kilisowski and Novikov. Throwing those 3 into the mix, let's face it, it's going to be a very different story. Not to say that Tom's going to not win it again, not reclaim the title, but I do think it will make it far more challenging for him. But we'll see. It depends how the events go. It could be in favour for Tom, or more so for the others. It all depends on the day, the weather, different factors, but Tom definitely has proven that he's a new athlete. He's evolved, he's grown up, he's matured. He is someone to watch out for, and he's going to be, in my opinion, a GOAT. He's a king of the stones. He's a great all-rounder. Everyone loves him. He's well deserving, and just credit to him, credit to his brother. You've done it for your mum, guys. Well done. Great achievement. First Scotsman as well, and I'm obviously very happy and biased because he's British. He's from the United Kingdom, and it's great for us to win it this year, because it's not happened for a few years. We've had an English guy, well, not English, but a British at least, win it. So massive congratulations, Tom. Enjoy this, savor it, and look forward to seeing you obviously at Royal Albert Hall next month for Giants events. Guys, I'm going to make a little video on that as well, so we'll talk about what events are going to be there, which athletes are going to be there. Hopefully Matthias Kidasowski is going to be there, because he said he will attend this event. He obviously skipped World's Strongest Man in favour for that. Hopefully he won't withdraw. I think Tom, you need to rest now. I wouldn't go for any world records. Obviously do the Albert Hall, enjoy that. But you know you're the world's strongest man, so you've got nothing else to prove. You know, that's the ultimate trophy. As Eddie Hall has said before, you know, that's the most alpha thing a man can win, and I completely agree. You know, that's just so alpha and boss mode to the max. So thanks, World's Strongest Man, for putting another great event. Looking forward to next year's, and also for the footage to be released so we can finally watch it in the UK in December 2021 at Christmas time. So guys, if you liked today's video, as always, please remember to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Also in the comment section below, let me know what you thought about the actual competitions, the events, you know, the qualifying stages, the finals, and are you happy with the outcome of who won? And yeah, just generally let me know what you think. So anyway, guys and girls, until next time, take care, and I'll see you all soon. Amigo and Finis, signing out.